We are here today with Sabrina Gritzmacher, who helps people treat their nervous system as a sort of gateway or beginning point to emotional and physical ease.
Yes.
And I had the pleasure of meeting you, I guess, about a year ago now, where we did 7 sessions together over the course of several weeks. And I was an instant fan. Yeah, so now you've created this opportunity for the two of us to sit down together and just have a conversation about what is the nervous system, what does it mean to be dysregulated. I think a lot of people will resonate that this, nomenclature and terms are getting more and more popular. People are really starting to understand, okay, wait, this is the foundation to everything. What we'd love to start with or to know first is, what led you to this point and beginning with the nervous system as your own missing link?
Well, it was an accident that I found this work after I had been on a very long journey of chronic pain and a lot of unease in my life. Chronic pain, but also sleeping difficulties. Anxiety, even though I didn't even know that this was anxiety, what I was experiencing back then. In that journey of like 15 or 20 years, I went through a journey of school medicine, going to different doctors, having gotten tested on all of what was possibly the reason for my chronic pains. And they couldn't find any medical evidence. It brought me into a situation where, okay, but I have these pains. I don't imagine these pains, and there's impairment with these pains in my daily life. Back then I lived in New York City with no sick leave, all these kind of things. So I was looking for something like, how can I fix myself to be able to continue working and making a living? Yes, and then I went through different holistic methods. Started looking into meditation before meditation was a thing, or also yoga before yoga was very popular, and looked into mindfulness and movement because the only way I related to my body was through pain at some point. And so I went there through a marathon, and there I experienced that things would help me, but not sustainably. And then I accepted that I will just be living with pain. And back then I was in my mid-20s, so I was quite young. How did I find out that nervous system regulation was the missing link? I went to sort of body work called Rolfing, and the person was also doing nervous system work, and I asked him, like, what is this? And he's like, it's just gonna relax you. And I'm like, okay, relaxation is great, this is what I need. Back then my mom had just died, and I was stuck in such a dysregulated state, which I wasn't aware of. And after the session, it brought me back into regulation and back into a normal baseline. And that was such a significant difference, how I felt, that I actually had just tears running out of my eyes without even knowing why. I was just like, my whole body was just taking a big breath and like, oh, that's normal. And I probably hadn't experienced this in 1-2 decades or 15 years minimum. So I asked the person, I was like, what did you do? It's like,
what was that?
And I knew just through that felt experience, even with him explaining or saying this method is good for this or that, I was like, this is gonna bring me the healing I'm looking for. This is the work my system desperately needs. And that's where the journey started. I found someone here in Berlin. Well, and she recommended me at some point. She was like, Sabrina, I think you have a gift in this work. I was just receiving sessions, and then I was like, okay, maybe I'm just gonna learn this. That's kind of how it evolved.
Incredible. So natural in lots of ways to be redirected, and I think a lot of people can resonate with this, right? You try different modalities. They maybe help for a period of time, but then they're not, as you said, this kind of lasting impact or something more sustainable for your system to hang on to.
It's usually the path that leads you to a certain place that makes you recognize what is the right thing with you for you, or what helps you.
Yes.
So the trial and error, if you go onto the holistical healing path, then it is not a quick fix. It's more about you trying these methods and getting a sense what is good for you and what helps you.
Yeah.
So it's always people come to me and then they have a big shift and they're like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for, and I say yes, but all the other steps were necessary for this to happen. The person is going through a development process of understanding what works for them and what doesn't.
I can really relate to this. I think, you need to have this journey, right, of understanding, okay, this sort of helps me with this, and this helps me with this, and I have this toolbox that I'm growing with. Absolutely, that's really the way. But I think when you sort of shifted from this, very tumultuous journey and chronic pain and all of these things, that must have been incredibly difficult. And at the same time, what was that sort of idea of like, okay, this is 90% dysregulation, or this is, that piece is underneath. Because I'm sure the meditation and yoga, these other modalities are incredible in their own right, but what really kind of got you to that, okay, wait, nervous system, what's happening here, what's underneath this? I guess this was also part of your studies, or walk me through that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's very interesting because the nervous system, once you understand that the nervous system is responsible how you respond, meaning how you feel, how you think, about impulses coming into your system.
Okay.
So an impulse could be something you tell me, you say something to me, and then my nervous system responds in a way. I have a certain thought, I have a certain feeling, and it's super individual, right? But pain is the same thing. So when the body experiences pain, the nervous system decides how intensely you feel the pain and the disease, and how dangerous it is to your system. And so when you are stuck in a fight and flight mode, this means like anxiety. You're like in a push-pull anxiety, and then your body experiences a pain. Maybe you pinch a nerve in your neck, or you have back pain, and all of a sudden it feels so much stronger. Like it feels like you can hardly deal with it, and it's taking up all your attention. And this has to do with the nervous system not having enough capacity to regulate the pain you're experiencing. And the less capacity it has, it's the narrower it gets, and the more it comes to the foreground. Well, I mentally understood it, but when I was receiving sessions and my baseline was shifted and shifted and shifted from session to session, I was like, wow, okay, this thing that was just, I was on the phone with my sister for like 2 hours, like after a session, there was a stress release in the system, and then the baseline was newly set, and all of a sudden, I could care less. It doesn't bother me so much. And and it's interesting, and it's also with the chronic pain. Once the nervous system has more capacity, you can sustain being more with uncomfortable feelings and sensations. And the body has also more space to go back into balance.
I think this makes perfect sense, because I can relate even to how I first came to you. I think I was a patient who wasn't necessarily experiencing any chronic pain or any real dis-ease or symptoms or anything like this, or just felt really overwhelmed, and I knew myself in different phases where I can be doing a million things and feeling incredible and alive and joyful, and I also know the part of me that does that can barely get out of bed and is really struggling to even answer a text message, and I think what I learned from you in each of these sessions, like each session really created this new, stronger baseline. I think at one point I had said to you, my iOS has been updated. I had cleared out the iCloud a little bit and just had more capacity to handle things. Which I feel, I don't know, we don't even, in medicine, or my background is more human biology and healthcare and this sort of thing, and we don't even allow ourselves to acknowledge this point, right? We kind of wait until it is the chronic pain, or it is the unidentified diagnosis, rather than starting maybe even smaller with just emotions and how is the body processing these emotions. So I really appreciate that you explained it in this way, that each time.
Yeah, and the thing is like when the glass is full, it starts overflowing.
Yeah, let's talk about that, right? Because joy really is that natural baseline.
Yes.
We are here to be joyful.
Yes, it's yes, absolutely. We are here to be joyful, and when you watch children who are still able to regulate quite fluently their emotions, they cry, and then the mom hugs them and co-regulates them, and then they go back and play again and have fun again, and then maybe they get into a fight with another kid, and then they're super angry, and then they come to mom, and mom hugs them, and she regulates, and then he plays or she plays with the same kid again, because regulating the emotions, and then there's also no crutch or anything, so you can just move through things.
When you're able to see these things and move fast, like move through them more quickly, then you don't stay stuck in one particular trigger or one. I don't know. Is this rumination? What?
Yes.
How do you describe this? Or maybe other patients are coming to you, other clients are coming to you saying,
"Yes, or
I'm here."
Or they're very. They suffer on being very grumpy all the time, of disliking everyone, of thinking everything's annoying, of haven't been always been this way. And you might know the grandparent or the grandmother who's like, oh, she's grumpy, she's just like that, or and they're actually just stuck over a very long time period in a certain stress response, and this is the way the body copes with it, and at some point it becomes part of the personality, but it's not the nature, because when one can stay fluent with feeling their emotions, and is also having a good emotional hygiene, meaning like taking care of their emotions, listening to them, following their needs and wants, like most of the time being in healthy relationships. Basic emotion is joy, and from that place, and it's not joy like, oh, I'm super happy, I'm laughing out loud. It's like when you spend time with someone and you're like, oh, he or she is at ease and feels comfortable to be around, and the person can switch from having a serious conversation with maybe difficult emotions to a lighter conversation, or to a conversation where you just have to make rational decisions.
Yeah, in between all of those. And why what changes do you think, like along this way, me as a testimony, you also having gone through this process yourself, what are those clients saying to you that they frequently experience, and how is it that they come back to you after probably 6 sessions or a set amount of time together?
Like very defining, like moving out of stuckness back into activity. And this can look very different, like maybe a person who has been stuck at the same job for the longest time and not been able to quit, and all of a sudden like the anxiety gets regulated or the stuckness gets regulated, and then they can take the next move and make a new decision. And so that's really nice. Or you're in a toxic relationship and you're like, God, I've been, the person has been again in a same pattern or dynamic, and it's difficult for them to come out, and then something moves in their system and they step out of this of this relationship, a pattern they have repeated over and over. And this is like the person being able to get back into this empowerment and to make a new positive decision changes the neuroplasticity of the brain. So it's extremely powerful when people can move out of regular patterns. And other things could be that when they have chronic pains, that throughout the process the pains move in the background of the awareness, so they can regulate it better, and then they have the possibilities to make new decisions, to create new habits, because everyone knows create good habits. Everyone, ChatGPT tells you what to do, Google tells you what to do, your best friend tells you what to do, and then you're like, I know what to do, but I don't do it. And it's because it's stuck in the nervous system, because the healthier regulation a person has, and they're connected to their biology through it, the more they feel their needs, their wants, they can draw boundaries, and they can make decisions that are solution oriented and that are helpful for their well-being. And this is actually the nature of a regulated nervous system.
I think you articulated that so beautifully, because it is the case that you often, you don't need more information, you know what you need to do, you're just not doing it. And I think at one point in our sessions together, I had even shared with you, I had just closed one business, was sort of maybe thinking to start another business, but I just felt I didn't have the capacity yet, I needed to process a few things and clear some space and let go of a few things to then allow that new, in this case, business to come forward, or habit or relationship, whatever it is, you do need to move some things around inside.
We underestimate transitions in our life. I think we have, a lot of us haven't learned that a lot of trauma happens in these transitions. And to get support or take some time during that transition is super, super helpful. And my personal opinion is always go on one-on-one. Besides the coach, go and have coaching, go to therapy, but also always work with a body-centered method that supports your nervous system. Because the nervous system stores all the experiences you make. And most of the time in our society, we are so much in action mode, and this is not when your body is processing information or digesting information. It's usually in the down phases where the body goes into parasympathetic state and gets to rest. And this is when the system is processing and digesting. And if you don't do this regularly, and your nervous system doesn't have the capability to do it, it's just the glass keeps on filling up, and your patterns and your challenges you're experiencing in life are just gonna become more and more rigid.
So it is a, if we can say, a myth that one can process on the go or process on the fly, or I don't know. I feel sometimes I think to myself, I'm processing, I've got that happened, and I can just neatly file that away. But it's not, right? You need a sense of downtime to then sort of go, what was sticking on me, or what was, right? I mean, in the book, The Body Keeps the Score, which I know we've bonded over, it did feel all of a sudden, I thought I had neatly tidied that up and pushed it aside, but in fact, I hadn't,
Yes, I don't know if it's a myth. I think there's some things we can process fairly quickly, and then there's some things that are more difficult and need more time.
It's a difficult question, but
yeah, it's a difficult question. But I mean, for example, when you're laid off at a company, you get fired. This is a shocking experience to be all of a sudden fired or to lose your job. It's existential. Your whole living is dependent on it. And then people go right into the next job, and or sudden like COVID. COVID is one of these things, like where clients come to me and now years later they have like a lot of symptoms, not being able to sleep, problems in their relationship, anxiety, etc. Our bodies are made for, and it's normal to build patterns in the system to deal with challenges. We all have them, and they are unlimited in our system. But if you take good self-care and you have the opportunity to do that, it will definitely ease your life in the long term and enhance the quality of your well-being the older you get. Yeah. Because we don't have the time in this society to take care of everything and to digest everything into detail. Yeah. But it just has to be good enough. Yeah. Like the processing has to be good enough so the person can return to baseline. So when, for example, when a relationship ends and then you get a little bit of support, it doesn't need a lot, maybe just a couple of sessions, you know, and then like a piece that was difficult, one can process, and then it's good enough to move on. Yeah, putting the body a little bit back in homeostasis so that then it can. Exactly. You can do your thing, you know? And I think that's what's really helpful for people to understand is if you're looking to make these changes in your life, or you know that you want to make some changes in your life, but you're feeling, I mean, and speaking from my experience, I was feeling really overwhelmed and just couldn't seem to manage to take that first step. I mean, as a testimony to our work, like after we had sessions together, I just felt that I could, all of a sudden the mountain didn't seem so big. It felt like, just break it down like this, and then I do this. I mean, it was really a reparenting exercise or something like this, because prior to that I was like, oh my goodness, this just looks enormous. Like, how am I, you know, that existential dread, how am I ever going to get to do this? But, you know, the typical session, I guess, to maybe give a more concrete description to people listening. How did you know, sort of come to be able to describe, okay, this is what we mean by a session, this is what it looks like, this is what we're doing? Maybe, you could fill in. Yes, so it is body-oriented coaching, which means it's a combination of like us sitting there and having a conversation, but also defining your intention, what you would like to work on, what your symptoms are, what your impairments are. But the most focus is like, what is your wish to have accomplished after these 6 sessions? Okay. And you orient towards solution and how you want things to be. For example, you could say, okay, in my relationship, I want to regulate. I don't want to scream at my kid. Or at the end of the cycle, I want be able to be more calm and centered and enjoy the time with my family and don't feel like overwhelmed constantly by them. A lot of mothers and fathers having this, and so you define your intention, what you would like to change, and then the most of the session is the person is on the table with their clothes on and laying on their back, and then I touch the body very softly, and just orient towards this baseline and help the body to move back into parasympathetic state. Fascinating. Yeah, and this is the state where the system calms down. It's so nice. It's so nice. It's so nice, and it's more than a relaxation. It's really on nervous system level, like a coming to a real rest, where the person can sense, okay, now the body's rejuvenating, now it's recovering, now my thoughts can move through and I have quiet in my head. And we are in conversation during that time, so I always check in, what do you feel, what do you sense, and the person's sharing that with me. And this has the purpose of continuously being aware with what's happening in your body, and what effect it has. It builds your capacity to be present with your emotions and your sensations, and also be able to speak about them and bring them into relationship with me. And this has an effect on the relationships then outside of the sessions, because after the session, your nervous system will have like the capacity has expanded. And so the session is most of the time 15 minutes. And then after the session, we just have a quick chat about what you experienced, what you felt, and how you're going to take this into your daily life. And and each session it's the same structure. But you can think of the 6 sessions being like one big session. So your body will in each session continuously work towards your intention. And so in the following sessions, we will just check in and be like, okay, what has changed? What has already shown up in your daily life? Moving towards your intention. So we we harvest like after every next session, we harvest and see what has already changed.
I really appreciate about this part, specifically about the process as well, because sometimes you need, I think, a partner to help you pattern recognize and sort of spot in each session. I was coming back to you and saying, okay, so now there's this development, or actually I'm feeling like this. And so you could also help me to say, okay, compared to last session, this is what you're sharing. And I was like, okay, yes.
Yes, and it's funny because people don't remember it. Sometimes
correct.
Do you remember what your intention was?
No.
You're like, no, and it's because this baseline has changed, and it really changes the way your physiology is capable of relating to reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a difficult, it's a bit ineffable, but I think, you are shifting sort of this paradigm that you're looking at the world through.
Imagine like, first the paradigm was like you're in fight. So and then you look through everyone, you're like, okay, this person wants something bad, this person wants to trigger me, this person doesn't want to work with me, and this path is also dangerous. So and then all of a sudden it gets out of the stuck and it goes more into relaxed, and then you have more positive hormones being released, and you're like, no, actually this person's face is actually quite nice, and this was really sweet, and it's interesting because that's how big of a impact it has, because usually we think like, we can think everything through and understand everything through, but the body defines our experience, and also that experience of thinking
has so much more wisdom. The more I'm learning from you, the more I'm learning about this process. It really feels, it's not as top down as we like to think it is, or maybe it's in parallel. I think at one point you had mentioned this to me, like doing these sorts of things together, where you're looking, let's say, the bottom up, whereby the bottom being the body, and then getting to the analytical, logical mind at the top. It helps to do both, right? I mean, so often we forget, I mean, myself included, I read all the books, I listen to all the podcasts, I am here for the routines and the hacks, whatever, but then at the same time we need something from the body, we need something from the bottom up, and that's what your work does so amazingly.
Yes, and it's I can see in people who have done a lot of talk therapy, behavioral therapy, or coaching, they have already been so good in analyzing all of the patterns and what's happening, and then when you combine it, all of a sudden there's so much more ease in stepping out of these patterns, because then they're finally like, oh my god, okay. Now I can do it, because my nervous system doesn't can regulate the pattern, or I can, I can deal differently with it, and that's usually a big game changer.
Massive, because as you're changing these patterns in your life, or first you're identifying, then you're going through the process of actually changing the patterns. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort to keep showing up every single day and every single moment to choose the new pattern. So
especially if your nervous system
is not,
if your fight and flight is on,
that's a bit impossible.
It's impossible, and people have then a lot of shame and guilt because they're like, oh, I know better. It happened again. I screamed at him again. I flipped out, or and then you have this shame and guilt, which are very strong feelings, and then the cycle gets even stronger and stronger and stronger, and
like, why couldn't I manage?
Why couldn't I manage? Am I stupid? I mean, really bad self-talk happens there, and I can tell everyone who's feeling like this, the nervous system, it does it automatic, and your body is releasing stress hormones when this happens. Your physiology, your muscle tighten, and it happens in your body, and you can't think your way out of this regulation. And it feels like you're swimming against the current, and it takes so much strength. The body, the brain thinks in this moment, okay, this is a dangerous situation. This is a situation I need to protect myself, and this protective mechanism might be from a very young age. It's active in the now. So, yes.
The pattern is holding there.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's maybe listening or thinking, okay, I'm curious, I'm anxious, I need help. What would you maybe say to someone who is getting closer to making that first step of diving into this sort of work?
Well, I would say it is okay to ask for help. Like, the first step is to go into a conversation, and you can always change your mind. There's always the possibility of choice, and if you follow your curiosity, it just can lead you to learn more about what's right for you. If you don't feel comfortable yet to ask someone directly for help, then I would recommend to get an understanding how the nervous system works. See if you find yourself in different states, and if you can relate to it. This is helpful to understand. It won't get you out of dysregulation. You need someone who co-regulates with you and sits with you, and this doesn't mean you need forever someone who co-regulate you, but it just needs to shift one time out of the stuckness, and then it's back into autonomy.
I gave on this exact wavelength, I gave an analogy to a friend of mine when I was describing your work. Maybe you already know. I think it's probably from ancient Buddhism or something. I don't know, something that is definitely not mine, but I was describing the experience as when you're in a plane, especially in Berlin, and it is quite grey and cloudy and raining, and you're waiting on the tarmac, and you're looking out the window, and all you see is just clouds or fog. And then as you take off, you get kind of further into the clouds and further into the clouds, but then eventually you come up, and there's that blue sky. And I had said to this friend, like, my work with Sabrina, or what I got to experience with you, was just getting back to that blue sky, like really actually feeling, okay, that blue sky was always there. It was not lost, but it's really in the clouds, it was really in the fog, and I needed help to get myself out of that. I don't know if that makes exact sense, that's really how
it's a great analogy.
Would describe.
Yes, and I also like to call it, so at the beginning there's like a creek, right? And so each session you continue, it's like the creek becomes like a river, and and then at some point, and then a stronger river and a stronger flow, and then eventually it's like the ocean, right? And it's a continuous process. But I would say after the 6 sessions, and I don't know how you experienced it, but I mean, you said it, but I think the tracks of the trains are back aligned, and after these 6 sessions, they're gonna continue to move through the system for months.
Yes.
This could be enough, and then it's also sometimes you just go through so many challenging life circumstances, positive and negative, that it's just a good thing to continuously do that, because our body carries so much stress already from our parents, that when you live in a country where it's safe to do self-care, it's a wonderful way to do it, to keep your organism going. Besides eating good, besides moving, besides
of course,
something where you don't need to be in an emergency to do it. You can, even when you're well, you can continuously do it, as it will very support you in your growth. And continuously setting your system into being solution-oriented, being connected to your gifts and talents, sensing your self-confidence, your potential. And it's not only words, it's going to be something that you feel inherently, and that's going to drive your decisions. So this is especially good for everyone who likes to grow and move like the phoenix out of the ashes, and continuously just be also in that positive, like that well-being state, to be like, oh, okay, I know there's challenges, I'm gonna take off, there's gonna be clouds again, and then I'm again in the blue sky, and and I always can move through these clouds even stronger.
Time for me to book another session. Where do you think the future of nervous system work is going?
The body's working in a body-oriented way, and focus on the nervous system is on its way to mainstream. I can imagine it's gonna change a lot how the medical, like the school medicine, you say school medicine?
Like the medical schools.
How they're gonna look at disease and trauma.
Emotional hygiene.
Emotional hygiene.
You said this earlier. I thought this is spot on, the piece of the conversation that's really missing, I think. Sabrina, you've helped so many people, myself included. What would you say to someone who, is curious but perhaps a bit apprehensive or anxious to take the next step?
You have permission to ask for help. It starts with a simple conversation, and you have always the possibility to change your mind. So there's no obligation to book. Take your time and get a picture of what is right for you, and if this is the right work for you.
I definitely followed that curiosity, and I'm so glad that I did. Nervous system regulation is your superpower.
The nervous system determines how you respond to life and how you respond to challenges. When you have reoccurring challenges in your life and the baseline of your nervous system changes, you will be able to deal with them in a positive and constructive way, and this will change your life. We as human beings, our general state, when we are capable of regulating our inner experience, our thoughts, our emotions, our responses in a coherent and flowy way, we have a sense of joy within us, because we can respond to life in a flexible way that is also coherent, and coherent meaning aligned with what we feel and what we think and what we do, and this creates a steady sense of satisfaction and joy.
You learn one can learn, I guess, to understand your own triggers and reactions, so that you then can independently regulate your nervous system. Talk to me about that.
Yes, so you can imagine there is like a map of automatic responses in our nervous system. So there's fight and flight, and then there's also a freeze. So when you understand in which mode you're operating in the moment, and if you can understand or feel it early on in the process, just by noticing it, you already can downregulate.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. So when one gets into a fight, you might start feeling anger or irritation or tenseness. And when someone gets into flight, you might have thoughts about, I want to flee, I want to quit this job, I want to break up with the boyfriend, I want to leave my kid with my mother, etc. This is when you're going into flee. And freeze is when you kind of go numb. It's like the opossum laying on his bed pretending he's dead or she's dead. This is a freeze. So when you understand this, every time such a mode is on, you, for some reason, and your system doesn't feel safe and it's protecting in this way, and then you know it's helpful to regulate down, because you won't be able to see reality as it is in this moment.
As you regulate your nervous system and have the ability to let's say respond instead of react, what new possibilities, healthier ways, they all begin to unfold. What does that start to look like?
By nature, we are solution oriented. It's important for us to take care of others and make sure we are well and our surroundings well. So it's going to show up that we will be able to take care better of ourselves in a way that actually is felt, and we can also actually really take care and show up for others. And also we are able to feel our likes and dislikes, and if we follow the things that we like and we incorporate them into our daily life, we get more and more regulated and more resourced.
That momentum really builds. Actually.
Yes, it builds, and it's a continuous process. And if you have a more resourced way of living, where the things that nourish you, you will be able to cope with difficulties much better.
Very well said. Yeah.